May the Triple Chain bless you, everyone. So, in this evening, we are going to do a Dhamma sermon in order to transfer merits to Hashini Mahatmia's beloved mother, who passed away exactly a month ago. So, in order to get started, so we should observe 5 precepts first. So, please say sadhu 3 times and recite the namaskara 3 times as well.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang
Dhammang
gacchami.
saranang gacchami.
Dhammang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Sanghang saranang gacchami.
Yampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Buddhang saranang gacchami.
Yampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tutiampi dhammam saranang gacchami.
Yampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami.
Tutiampi saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami.
Tatiyampi dhammam saranam gacchami.
Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Tutiampi sanghang saranang gacchami.
Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Anatipata nisikhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinādāna veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Adinādāna nisikhapadang samadhiyami.
Kāmesu miccāchārā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Amesacāra vedamani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musāvādā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Musāvādā vedamani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surāmēraya majjapamā daṭṭhānā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Surāmēraya majjapamā daṭṭhānā veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami.
Sadhu sadhu.
Sadhu.
Samanta cakkavālesu atrā gaccantu devata saddhammang munirājassa sunantu sakka mokkadang dhamma savana kālo ayam bhadanta dhamma savana kālo ayam bhadanta Dhamma savana kālo ayam bhadanta.
Sadhu.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Atti bhikkhave asava dassana pahatabba. Atti asava samvara pahatabba. Atti asava patisevana pahatabba. Atti asava adhivasana pahatabba. Atti asava parivajjana pahatabba. Atti asava vinodana pahatabba. Atti asava bhavana pahatabbati. Dear friends of Dhamma, in this evening, as Ravindu just mentioned in the introduction to this ceremony. So we are going to listen to a Dhamma sermon. The purpose of this sermon is to transfer merits to Hashini Mahatmia's beloved mother who passed away a month ago. So in our Buddhist tradition, according to the tradition, we normally, do ceremonies, pinkam, like on the seventh day, then again, when it is, when 3 months, have passed, and then after 1 year. But sometimes people do like this as well. Okay, there is no time to perform meritorious deeds to transfer merits to your departed relatives. Okay, it depends on you, how you really think about your departed relatives. Hashini Mahatmia's mother passed away, so she cannot wait until 3 months pass. Okay, so it is just a 1 month after her passing. She wants to do this ceremony and transfer merits because in Buddhism, this is the only thing we can do for the sake of the, the departed relatives. This is the only thing. We cannot see where they are at the moment. We cannot connect to them in any ways. Okay, this is the only way, like connect to them with our soul. We think about them and transfer merits. So this is the only way. So everyone who really feel for your departed relatives, you always want to perform something and transform it. So that's the same thing Hashini Mahatmya, Sanjeeva Mahatma, Ravindu, and even their family from Sri Lanka. That's the only thing they are doing at the moment. We become so helpless when we lose our beloved ones. This is the only thing we can do. That's why you are here today to transfer merits to Bandar Manike, the beloved mother of Hashini Mahatmya. So we all are here to offer our condolences, to show our sympathies. So this is the only thing we can do. So Hashini Mahatmya, when her mother was alive, she did all the services that a child is supposed to, do for their parents. Even living, like far away. So Hashini Mahatmya's mother lived in Sri Lanka with her sister. So Hashini Mahatmya lived here. Even though she was living here in the United States, so she did all the services that a child could do. So Hashini Mahatmya gave me a telephone call after some time, sometime after her mother's demise. So she was, just talking for hours with me. She couldn't even finish how she, feels about her mother. That's true. If you were to praise your parents' virtues, qualities, the day may end, but the qualities, the virtues may still remain. You cannot finish talk about them. So Hashini Mahatmya told me so many things that she did for her mom. Okay, so we are so happy as, venerable monks. We are so happy to hear, that kind of things. There are still children who take care of their parents like that. Even Ravindu as a grandkid, he even, did a great job in order to, keep his grandmom, mentally and physically strong. They did all things in their capacity. They visited there, sometimes, annually, sometimes, twice a year. Okay, see, so that's what you have to do. Okay, it doesn't matter where you live, you at least have to, support them emotionally, physically. Sometimes support your family financially. So in every possible ways to make them happy, your parents, your siblings, your relatives, because once they are gone, the only thing that remains is regret if you haven't taken care of them the way you are supposed to do. But Hashini Mahatmya didn't seem to have any regret. She was like, Hamdurone, I am not regretting because I took care of my mom, at my best. So I'm so happy, but still that's a great pain for me to lose my mom. That's a universal thing. Okay, to lose your mom, to lose your father, someone who, someone you really, associated with closely, to lose them is a great pain. That's why the Buddha says, "Piyehi vipayogo dukkho." Separation from the beloved one, that's a great pain. So that's a universal truth. Everyone, we all have that, not only Hashini Mahatmya. So when we encounter, when we go through that kind of situation, so this is what as Buddhists we can do. So in order to put ourselves at ease, in order to console ourselves, in order to alleviate pain, so we listen to Dhamma. It's because Dhamma vina natti pita cha mata. You love your parents a lot because they do so many things for you. Adasime, akasime, nyatimitta sakachame, petanan dakkinandajja pubbe katamanussarang. When someone dies, the Buddha reminds us to think about the service they did for us. Adasime, they gave me this and that. So when you think about with relation to your parents, how many things they have given to you, that is immeasurable and it is uncountable. Adasime, akasime, they did so many things for us. Sometimes parents are not capable enough to give us things. As far as wealth is concerned, there are some parents who can give their kids, who can give their children a lot of wealth. Adasimi, they gave me this much of wealth. So you remember that. So I am using their wealth. So it has been a very great help for me in my life. So I remember that. But sometimes they don't have anything to give you. But Akasime, can you still kind of forget them? No, you cannot forget them because they have done so many things, even though they haven't give you anything that belongs to the word wealth, but sometimes they do so many things. So you can think about when you are 2 years old or 3 years old. Can you actually remember what happened during that time when you are 1 year old, 2 year, 3 year? You are here today without any disabilities. Okay, you can see things very well. Okay, so you are not disabled in any ways. All the all your limbs, hands and legs, so everything is in perfect shape. It's because your mother and father, your parents, took care of just as they take care of their eyes. They didn't let you, do harm for you. Okay, they really took care of you. They don't just, put you somewhere and take care of their, things. They really, pay attention to you. They really attended to you. You were not alone, left somewhere alone. No, they were always behind, taking care of you. So you are in this good physical shape without any disabilities today. Why? It's because you were well guarded, well protected, well taken care of, well looked after by your parents. That's why you are like this today, without no problems, without any problem. Okay, you are in perfect shape. That's how your parents dedicate their life for you. So we have to remember them. We have to commemorate their virtues, qualities. So that's a quality of a great person, Sappurisa Lakkhana, according to Buddhism. So you remember what they did for you, what they gave to you, adasime, akasime, not only your parents, nyati mitta sakachame, even your siblings, relatives, teachers, friends. So Buddha did not ask you to stop, within the boundary of your family. No, even though one of your friends die, even when, one who you really, associated with closely, die. So you have to think about them, what they really, even with the word, they might have helped you in your life. So remember them. Remember the things they did for you. Remember the things they gave to you, not only parents, not only siblings, even outside the family. That's how, your mind is. That your mind is that big. Petanam dakkinandacha pubbe katamanus. So when you remember those qualities, okay, this is what they did for the sake of me. This is what they did for me, expecting betterment in me. So you are not just limit yourself to think about them, but also you perform these kind of activities. In the stanza, it says, Petananda Kinandaja, you offer alms to someone and transfer merits. But it also says you can perform any kind of good activity and then transfer merits. Okay, that's what you are doing. And Dhamma vinanati pita chamata. So that's where I was starting out. So Dhamma is the refuge for us in this life. Now we talked about the qualities of our parents. They would do anything. They would, put their life at any risk for us. But if you go to your parents and say, mother and father, so I always get sick. I'm getting old. One day I will die. Then I'm gonna get a rebirth somewhere in this universe. Could you please help me? For the parents who do anything that you ask, cannot, fulfill that request. They cannot do anything for that request because that is not under their control. Getting old, dying, being ill, sick. So wandering about in this samsaric existence. So parents cannot do anything with relation to that thing. Okay, they would do anything. They will do anything but that. So where you have refuge for that, where you have instruction for that, how to end this samsaric suffering. Jayaticha, we are born. Jiyaticha, we live. Chavaticha, we depart. Uppajaticha, we again get birth somewhere. So parents cannot help with that at all. But who can help with that? That's the Dhamma, teachings of the Buddha. So Dhamma vinanati pitacha mata. So as far as the samsaric existence is concerned, so Dhamma is the refuge. Dhamma is the help. Dhamma is the shelter. So that's why we are doing these kind of ceremonies, just to listen to Dhamma when we commemorate Bandar Manike, Hashini Mahatma's beloved mother's, virtues, qualities. We do this ceremony because it is the foremost giving ever. Hashini Mahatma invited you to this Dhamma ceremony. It's because that's the Dhamma Dana. So the offering opportunity, giving opportunity to others to listen to Dhamma, that is utmost, that is foremost, that is at the top of the list of giving dana. So that's why this ceremony comes first when someone dies. You invite other people to listen to Dhamma. That's the best ever dana. And then you can acquire a great deal of merits. So that merit you can transfer to your departed relative. So Dhamma vinanati pitacha mata tameva tanang saranam patitta. So Dhamma is the best ever, dana, giving you can perform, because it's the refuge, it's the shelter, it's the help as far as our sansaric life is concerned. Tameva tanang saranam patitta. Tasmahi bhokicca manyappahaya. So you have to give a great attention to that, like listen to Dhamma again and again, because that it is the only way that we can, terminate, that we can end this sansaric suffering. So sunata, tareta, charata, Dhammi. So you have to listen to Dhamma. You don't stop there. Tahareta, you have to keep it in your mind. You have to memorize the Dhamma. It's not just you are listening and forgetting today. No. You try to remember, you try to memorize what you listen today. And Charata Dhammi. So you have to put whatever the bit you listen into practice. You don't even stop at the second point. You listen, you remember, but it's still going to be useless unless you practice whatever the bit you listen. So that 3 steps are very crucial. That's very important. You listen, you remember, and you put them into practice. Okay, so the day you think about Hashini Mahatma's mother, you do this Dhamma ceremony for the sake of her. So we are going to listen to Sabbasawa Sutta. Okay, that's what the stanza I began the sermon with. So Atti Bhikkave Asava Tassana Pahatabba. So that's how I started the sermon. So that's a quotation from Sabbasawa Sutta. So let's listen to this great teaching of the Buddha, and at the end we can transfer merits to Bandara Manike, the beloved mother of Hashini Mahatma. So Buddha was living at Jetavana in Savatthi. So sometimes, deities go to Buddha. Sometimes people go to Buddha and ask questions. Venerable Sir, we are wondering how this works. Okay, we cannot make a demarcation between good things and bad things, like how Mangala Sutta was delivered because of imitation by deities. Okay, we cannot make a demarcation between Mangala and our Mangala. So can you just let us know what are the good what the good omens are? What are the auspicious things are in this world. So because of that invitation, Buddha delivered the Mangala Sutta. So sometimes people invite Buddha, with whatever the questions they have, with things they are wondering about, wondering of. So in this case, so no one invited Buddha. Okay, this is very important, because sometimes you invite Buddha to deliver Dhamma sermons on something, but sometimes Buddha himself have that intention to deliver something. Okay, I should talk about this teaching. So it is good if I teach my fellows this teaching. So it's by Buddha's own intention that Buddha delivered the Sabbasawa Sutta. No one invited Buddha. It's because it's that important. This sutta is that important. That's why Buddha delivered this without any invitation, by his own intention. So this is a great sutta because it talks about all possible defilements or distractions or taints that could occur in mankind. Okay, so it talks about all possible defilements that we can occur in our mind. So defilement, when we think about Nibbana, our own liberation, so that's a barrier. Okay, so it stops us from proceeding. It does not allow us to go forward, to eradicate suffering. It's really keeping us. The defilements are keeping us from going forward. So we have to get rid of defilements if we want to attain Nibbana. So asava, when you translate that word, there are so many translations. You can say affluent. What affluent means? It's something like, the kind of, impure water that, goes from our house to a river or somewhere, like to a drain, the waste of water. That's impure. Asava means kind of, flowing. It means the flowing thing because the defilements flow into our mind. So in that sense, asavas are called that way. Asavas are flowing towards somewhere. Where? To our mind. So our mind is defiled because asavas flow into our mind. So that way our mind is going to be impure. So we really have to stop that flow, coming to our mind. So affluent is one translation of asava. And another thing is flux. Another thing is distraction. Another thing is defilement. So in all words, it tries to explain that is something you have to get rid of. You cannot harbor it. You cannot make your mind a house for that. You cannot welcome the defilements. Defilements are not welcomed by you. It's something that you have to keep away with. It's something that you have to do away with. It's something you have to remove. It's something you have to avoid. It's something you have to put like far away from you. Otherwise, your mind is going to be defiled. So these asavas, the one who gets rid of these asavas, so Buddha says, Janato aham bhikkhave passato asavanam kayam vadami. So I proclaim the destructions of defilement to the one who, for the one who knows and for the one who sees. So the destruction of asavas, like, eradicating asavas, is proclaimed for the one who knows and sees. So what does it mean? For the one who knows what? For the one who sees what? So literally, if we don't see something, if we don't know something, so the destruction of asavas are not, proclaimed by the Buddha. It's not for us. So we have to see something. We have to know something in order to get away with asavas. So what is that? Not ajanato, no apasato. So the destruction of asavas, destruction of defilements are not for the one who do not see, not for the one who do not know. So what is that? That is very important. So yonisocha manasikaram, ayonisocha manasikaram. So what we have to see, what we have to know, what yoniso manasikara is and what ayoniso manasikara is. So as long as we do not know what yoniso manasikara is and what ayoniso manasikara is, so the destruction of asavas is not for us. So the Buddha says you have to know these two things. It's very important at the beginning of this Dhamma sermon to know what yoniso manasikara is and ayoniso manasikara is. Yoniso manasikara, wise attention. Ayoniso manasikara, unwise attention. If you are a person who knows these two, if you are a person who sees these two, then the destruction of asavas is for you. Buddha assure you really can destroy all the asavas and then attain nibbana. Just know these two things, yoniso manasikara and ayoniso manasikara. So what happens when you know what yoniso manasikara is and what ayoniso manasikara is? So you know what is fit for attention. So there are so many things in our life that are not fit for attention, that we should not spend time with, but we still, because we are blind, because we are full with defilement, so we cannot see the truth, because we are deluded by our own concepts and ideas, opinions, led by craving. Because of craving, so we have a lot of ideas that we made. We have a lot of opinions. We have like narratives. We have stories that we made, but with a deluded mind, with craving in it, so we cannot see the truth. So there are things in our life that we've encountered that are not fit for attention, but you still attend to them. There are things in our life that we should attend, like doing some meditation. Just sit for a while and attend to, pay attention to your breath. Doing some loving kindness meditation. So those are good for attention, that are fit for attention, but we neglect it. We just don't care. But if you are a person who knows and sees what those two are, so you give attention to what should be attended. You don't give any attention to what should not be attended. So these two words are very important if you want to learn the Sabbasawa Sutta. It's because Sabbasawa Sutta was delivered for the ones who know and see these two things, yoniso manasikara and ayoniso manasikara. Okay, so those are the two words at the very beginning that you have to really have a good idea about. Wise attention and unwise attention. What happens when you have a wise attention? So you attend to things that should be attended. What happens when you have unwise attention? You attend to things that are not supposed to attend. Okay, so that is very important to know what they are. Okay, so the first thing, if you know that, then you can move forward. Then Buddha says, Ati bhikkave asava dashana pahatapa. So there are 7 ways that we can deal with all the defilements. So I said, so the sutta consists with all possible distractions, defilements, fluxes or effluents. So anything, you would like to call. So all asavas that can occur in us. So the sutta include that. But there are 7 ways that Buddha shows us how to deal with those asavas. The first one is ati bhikkave asava dasana pahatapa. So there are distractions. There are defilements that you have to abandon by dasana, seeing. So there are some defilements you can, abandon them by seeing. What are those things? So there are 3 things called kamasava, bhavasava, avijjasava. What are those? Kamasava, bhavasava, and avijjasava. What is kamasava? That is sensual desire. That is, half of your life. Because you have 5 sensory organs, we are not satisfied with, just, feeding our 5 sensory organs. We, keep feeding and feeding and feeding because we are not easily satisfied feeding our 5 organs: eye, ear, nose, tongue, and your body. You always, chase after, satisfying those things, or like over satisfying these 5 sensory organs. So that is kamasa, going after sensual pleasure again and again and again and again. There is no limit. You are not living a minimal life because you are driven by sensual pleasure, like the craving for sensual pleasure. You are led by that. You are overpowered by that thought, oh, I should enjoy my life to the fullest no matter what. You are kind of, overpowered by that idea. So the kamasava is there. Then bhavasava, your habitual tendencies, your habitual behavior. Bhava is like, becoming again and again. So lust for your life. First you have kamasava, sensual desire, and bhava mean like, you making it again and again. That's your habitual tendency. That's your habitual behavior, like just to keep track on your sensual pleasure. Oh, I should do this and I should do that in order to satisfy this and that. So we are lost somewhere because that's the only thing we think about at the end of the day. How to kind of, get more and more pleasure. How to satisfy my eye more and more. How to satisfy my ear more and more. Likewise, the other sensory organs. And the other thing is avijjasava, ignorance. So because due to all those practices, like chasing after sensual pleasure and lust for life, like doing it again and again and again, and at the end of the day you are kind of, with ignorance. That's not any wisdom. That's the opposite of wisdom, ignorance. So those 3 things, you give rise to those 3 things at the end of the day. What you have done, just give rise to sensual pleasure. Like arousing lust of life, arousing ignorance. That's the thing you do. But if you have wise attention, you do not give any priority to all those 3 things. Only if you have unwise attention, so you living with them. But if you are a wise person, you are not chasing after sensual pleasure and habitual tendencies that are related to sensual pleasure, and ignorance, like to be deluded, because you cannot figure what truth and what is, essenceless or what is essence. You cannot figure out because you are blind. But when you have wise attention, you really realize those should not be given priority in my life, but for noble truth. This is suffering. This is the origin of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering, and this is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. So the first thing, atti bhikkave asava dashana pahatappa. So at the end of the day, you refuse, you like disregard those three asavas, kamasava, bhavasava, and avijjasava. Instead, you try to see this is suffering. That is, suffering. This is the origin of suffering, and this is the cessation. There's a cessation. It is not that always suffering is only arising. It ceases as well. It goes away as well. But we are blind enough not to see the cessation of suffering. We always see that something arising and stays for a long time. But there is a cessation, and there is a way leading to that cessation as well. So the four things, four noble truths. So seeing four noble truth is the way to get rid of some kind of asavas, like what? Kamasava, bhavasava, avijjasava. So that's the first way that we have to deal with asavas. And what is the second thing? Atti bhikkave asava samvara pahatappa. So we are talking about thousands of asavas today. Maybe everything doesn't have a name, but you know what we are talking about because you have experience in your life. Oh, this is what we have to do with this asava. This is what we have to do with this asava. But there are 7 clear ways that we can treat them, that we can take care of them. So we just finished one by seeing. So seeing what? Four noble truth. Seeing four noble truth, we are going to take care of like some of asavas. And the second thing is by samvara, by restraining. What you are going to restrain? So to have a controlled eye faculty, to have a controlled ear faculty, to have a controlled nose faculty, to have a controlled tongue faculty, to have a controlled body faculty, and to have a controlled mind, mental faculty. So that's how you restrain. So you have to restrain your 6 sensory organs. So that's another way. So it has some kind of relation to first one, right? See, they are interconnected, but somehow it's still a different category. That's the second way, restraining your 6 sensory organs, that there are asavas that have to be treated that way. How you restrain? Chakkuna rupang diswa na nimitta gahi hoti na nanubhyanjana gahi hoti. Chakkuna rupang diswa. On seeing a form, when you see something, so you do not grasp the general feature. Na nimitta gahi hoti. And na jnanubhanjana gahi hoti. You do not grasp the minor features. So what are those? General feature and the secondary features. So you see something very beautiful. Suppose a young boy seeing a young girl. So what is the first impression that you have? Oh, she's so beautiful. That's the nimitta gahi. That's the nimitta. That's the general feature. That's the first thing that comes to your mind. That's the first impression you have by just seeing. So you listen to something. Oh, that's so beautiful. I really love that noise, that voice or something. Oh, this food is very tasty. Wonderful. Great. That's so delicious. That's the first impression. Now, then you pay attention to details, the minor, the secondary parts, that's the anubhyanja. You have a like, impression first, then you go for details. Why it is so beautiful? Why that girl is so beautiful? Because she has long hair, she has a face like moon, she has a nice body, so her smile is so nice. Those are the details that you pay attention later, but first impression is so beautiful, so adorable, and then you go to details. So chakkuna rupan diswa the nimittagahi hodi. So if you are a person who try to restrain yourself, who try to restrain your sensory faculties, so you don't grasp any general feature like that. You don't grasp any minor feature like that, any secondary or any detail like that. You are well restrained. So that's how a mind of an arahant works. That's how the mind of an arahant works, because they just experience the world. So they have the same sensory faculty that we have. They have the same function there. They can experience things, but they do not grasp any general feature. They do not grasp, they do not go for any secondary details like we do. They just have their sensory organs, but no further expectations. They are not clinging to it. They do not give rise to craving, even a bit. No. So we have to have a restrained mind in order to take care of samasa. So that's the second thing. You see something, you listen to something, you hear something, you taste, you feel, you have all the tangibles and contacts and all the things through your five sensory organs, but you just experience it, not try to go after it. That way your six sensory organs are under control. They are restrained. They are well guarded. They are well protected. So that's the second thing. What is the third thing? Atti asava patisevana pahatappa. So there are distractions, there are defilements that you have to take care of by using. That's really interesting. Oh, this is the only thing that that is allowed to use, right? So the first two we talked about. So like put it away, like don't think about it, control yourself, put yourself under control. So restrain. So kind of pushing away. But this is using. So what are the things that we have to use? Our requisites: food, clothes, lodgings, resting places, and medicine. So those are the just minimal things that we need, and we cannot avoid that. You have to eat, you have to dress, you have to use your houses, you have to take medicine when you are sick. So you cannot avoid that. So you have to use, but still while using, you do not give rise to any defilement. But for the most part, what we do while using that, we give rise to many defilements, many desires, cravings arise while we eat, while we dress, while we using our houses, while we take medicine. Let's go through one by one. So for a monk, actually, Buddha says, you with wise attention, reflecting wisely, patisanka yoniso chivaram patisevami, you use your robes to what? So dansa, makasa, vatata, sirinsapa, sampassanam patigataya. You use it for just to avoid the contact with dansa makasa, like gadflies and mosquitoes and vata atapa, so wind and the sun, sirinsapa, creeping things when you are in the forest. So there are so many insects and reptiles and things that can come close to you and go around you, so you can feel them. So the robe gives you protection from that. So that's the purpose. You are using your robe to like kind of face those things successfully, not to amuse yourself, right? Not to give any physical attraction to anyone. Those are the things. Tansamatmakasavata Sirinsa Sampasanam Patigata Yavadeva Hirikopina Patichadana. The most important purpose is to conceal your private parts. Just to cover them. So that's the purpose. But we have to think that is that the purpose that we are using our dressing, our clothes? No. So sometimes when you go to the shopping mall, you are like in between two worlds. It's like that's the hardest thing ever in this world, to like pick a dress for you. If you are a person who really knows the purpose of clothing, the purpose of dressing something, putting something up, it's just to conceal your private parts. And as a monk, for us, when we meditate, when you go to forest, when you go outside to sit somewhere to meditate, so it's just to protect yourself from wind, sun, flies, mosquitoes and things like that. So that's the purpose. So as a monk, like reflecting wisely, you have to use the robes. And how about food? Patisankayon, so pindapatam patisevam nevadavaya, not for the amusement. Namadaya, not for the intoxication. You don't eat to get high, intoxicate yourself. Namadaya, namandanaya, not to decorate yourself. Navibhusanaya, not to have a kind of physical attraction. Yavadevi masakaya sititya, just for the endurance and the continuance of your life. You are eating something just to continue this life. Yavadevi masakaya sititya yapanaya vihinsu paratya, just to get rid of the discomfort, right? So when you are hungry, so it is painful, so just to get rid of that discomfort. So likewise, we have a purpose for food and robes and for our lodging places, our resting places. Why you have a house? Utuparise vinodanam padisalla naramattan. So just to protect yourself from the afflicting feelings of climate. It rains sometimes. It's very sunny, it's hot, it's windy, there are storms, thunderstorms and things like that. So to protect yourself from those things, you have your resting places. But is that the purpose in today's world? No, just to show off sometimes, to build the most expensive house, to build the most beautiful house in this world, to build the house that has the most sophisticated technology installed in that house. So there are that kind of useless purposes as far as your spiritual life is concerned. So in worldly life, so to have to equipped with latest technology, that's a good thing. Okay, as far as the worldly ambitions and goals are concerned. But as far as your spiritual life is concerned, that has nothing to do with your spirituality. Okay, you just have to know the purpose. Why I am building a house? Just a simple house, just to protect myself from the afflicting feelings of climate. That's it. And as a monk, patisallanara mata, to enjoy my retreat, to do my meditation. That's it. And why you use medicine? So medicine, you have to take it when you are sick. But in today's world, medicine is used, in very wrong ways. How many people die because of overdoses that you take, just to keep yourself, keep your physical body young, which is never ever possible. How many things you do with medicine in order to keep yourself young forever, that has nothing to do with reality at all. So people die because they kind of misuse medicine sometimes, right? So you have to know the purpose why we need medicine, just to be healthy when you are sick, to cure yourself. So that's why you need medicine. Veya badhikanam vedananam abhyapachya paramata yati. To get rid of all the irritations you have, pain you have in your body. And that's why you need medicine when you are sick, just to cure yourself, just to keep yourself healthy. That's the purpose, not something else that today's world try. Okay, so many unusual and unsuccessful ways using medicine. So that's the third thing. You have to use them, but still you know the purpose. Then you don't give rise to any defilements, because you know the purpose of using food, clothes, resting places, and medicine. So there is no space in your life for defilements to arise. What's the fourth one? Adivasana pahata, but sometimes you have to endure things. You have to tolerate things. Okay, you have to have forbearance, right? You have to forbear things. That's sometimes we are lack of. We don't endure things. We don't tolerate things. We don't want it. I don't want to tolerate anything. You're very arrogant, right? So, but sometimes you have to tolerate. Sometimes you have to endure things. So there are defilements that should be abandoned by enduring. What are those? You have to endure hunger and thirst. So sometimes at homes, right? You cannot endure your hunger. You cannot tolerate your hunger. So how many problems you make with your parents and things like that. Just a minute, you can't tolerate. You cannot tolerate your thirst. You cannot tolerate the coldness. You cannot tolerate the heat sometimes. So you are blaming, scolding, yelling, shouting, complaining. So just burning. There are so many vexation in your life. There are so many things like occurring because of not being tolerant. So sometimes defilements arise because you don't know how to tolerate things, how to just accept the way they are. So you want them to be the way you wish them to be. It's very difficult to maintain the world that way. So sometimes there are things you have to endure, tolerate, like hunger, thirst, heat, coldness, and unwelcomed speech, sometimes words, right? Ill, words, harsh words. People just say. So you get upset, you get offended, and then give rise to defilements because you are led by those words, unwelcomed words. So you get angry. So you have ill will. Then you try to take revenge. So see how many defilement arise because you cannot tolerate someone's unwelcomed word. So that's the way. The fourth way is to endure, to tolerate things. And there are so many things, but I think time is a problem. So I'm just trying to wind the sermon up as soon as possible. Now we spend almost 1 hour. So that's the fourth one. The fifth thing is Atti Bhikkave Asava parivajjana pahatappa. So there are asavas that you have to avoid. What are the things you have to avoid? Because if you don't avoid that, then you will give rise to defilement. So what are the things? So Buddha says you have to avoid the wild elephant, wild horse, wild bull, wild dog, snake, a cliff, a cesspit, chasm, stump like fallen, from a tree. So because people want to sometimes try those things, or let's see how this wild elephant behave if I go touch him. I really saw some video clips like crazy people go touch wild elephants and get hit by them, right? So you want to try, like even monks, like in hilly areas, there are stories that monks, a group of monks, went to the hill area, and some of them just encourage others to, let's go to the edge of that cliff and try to be balanced with one leg. Try to meditate at the very tip of that cliff. That's dangerous. You don't want to try that, risk, that kind of risky ways to meditate. No, you can just go to a root of a tree and go to like top of a mountain of rock or something. You can find like better places to meditate. You don't want to be at the edge of a cliff, like it's very dangerous. You can fall down in any minute. So likewise in our lives, like for kids, this is a very good sutra, because you always try to be adventurous. You always, it says like you're accepting challenges, you are adventurous. Yeah, that's a good quality, but not every time you put yourself at risk for doing that. So that way you give rise to defilements, distractions. Sometimes you threat your your life by your own. That's not a good thing. So like wild animals you have to avoid. The cliffs, the drains and sewer and things like that. Bridges. Sometimes you want to like jump off from the tallest bridge in this world and try to make a record, or I'm still alive even after jumping off this tall river, but tall bridge. So there are so many unnecessary stuff going on in this world like that. So you don't want to take part of that, be part of that as a person who really try to calm yourself and just to go forward in your spiritual life. So avoid that part. So there are defilements that you have to abandon by avoiding. So avoid those. And most importantly, so the rest of the category is avoid bad friends. Avoid kind of unusual resorts, like you go to places that you are not supposed to be at. Like there are places called red light zones and things like that in countries like this. So you can be caught for something, you caught for a crime that you did not commit, if you are caught in being in that kind of area, red light zones and things like that. So you are sitting with, you're taking unsuitable seats. What does it mean? Like you're sitting with people that you can kind of harm your reputation. You are seen with associating with them by others, and they will label you, oh, he's also that kind of person. Because he's associating with really bad people. So you're not taking seats with them. You're not associating bad friends. That's very important. So the bad friends and the places that you are not supposed to be, and the people you are not supposed to associate with. So that's also in that avoiding part. That's the fifth one. And the sixth one is we know the napahata, but there are distractions, there are defilements that you have to abandon by removing. The The last one is avoiding. This is removing. So what you are going to remove? So you are going to remove the thought of sensual pleasure. See, still we talk about sensual pleasure. So it could be found in some other places as well. But here it is kama vitakka, the thought of sensual pleasure. Kama vitakka. So uppanna kama vitakka nadivaseti pajahati byanti karoti anabhavam gamiti. So the recent thought of sensual desire nadivaseti. So you abandon, pajahati, removes, byanti karoti, you do away with that, anabhavam gamiti, annihilates. So you do those four things with the thought of sensual pleasure. So you just get rid of that. And the vyapada vitakka, and the thought of ill will, hatred, aversion, right? So like taking revenge, okay, wishing bad things to others. So that also give rise to defilements. That's also make your mind an impure one. It's a defiled mind if you have hatred in your mind, if you have ill will, aversion in your mind. So you just kind of, abandon that, remove that, and do away with that and annihilate that. So you are not harboring it. You do not make yourself house for that. You don't accommodate any of those thoughts. And the third one is vihimsa vitakka, the thought of cruelty. So those are the three things that you have to remove: the thought of sensual pleasure, and the thought of hatred, ill will, and the thought of cruelty. So once you have all those three things in your mind is defiled, because you are not a friend to anyone. You are like an enemy to everyone. Because you only think about your sensual pleasure, no matter what, in a good way or a bad way. You are going your way, you are just going forward, but everyone else is left behind. So you don't do anything for the sake of others, but for yourself. So that's a life full with defilements. So you remove that. And the seventh category is there are asavas that you have to abandon by developing. Oh, what's that? Can I remove any asava by developing? Yes, developing something else, but that cause those asavas to be suppressed. Okay, when you develop these factors, your asavas go down. When you are not paying attention on these factors that should be developed, then asavas raise up. So what are those factors that you have to develop? Those are 7 enlightenment factors: sati, dhamma vijaya, viriya, piti, passaddhi, samadhi, upekka. So you have mindfulness first, very, very important. So yoniso manasikara, so that has something to do with mindfulness as well. If you don't have mindfulness, so there is no yoniso manasikara, because you have to attend things wisely with mindfulness. So mindfulness is the first thing. And the second thing is then Dhamma Vijaya, the investigation in Dhamma. When you have mindfulness, then you investigate Dhamma. Which Dhamma I should follow, which Dhamma that is helpful for me, which Dhamma I should remove, I should keep aside in order to go forward in my spiritual path, on my spiritual path. So you have to have Dhamma, investigation in Dhamma. Then because of that investigation, there is effort, virya arises in your life, because you want to sustain that, you want to maintain that, because you really enjoy the way that you started with mindfulness and then investigation in Dhamma. Now you have energy. So I should keep this up. I should not stop this. I should go forward. That's virya. Because of virya, you have piti, rapture, zest, kind of joy in your mind, because I am an effortful person. So I have attained so many like good things in my life because of those factors. What are those? The mindfulness, investigation in Dhamma, and effort. So I'm so happy, because I'm kind of like going towards my goal, the nibbana. So I'm happy. Because of rapture, then it leads your mind to passaddhi, the tranquility. You have a tranquil mind when you have come to that point. That tranquility leads you to concentration, samadhi. Samadhi leads you to upeka, equanimity. So your mind is a balanced mind. So that's the happy life. If you have a balanced mind with equanimity, so that's the best life ever, because there is no like you know ups and downs. So you are not kind of shaking. You are not kind of shivering. You are just stable. Your mind is balanced no matter what's going on around you. Okay, maybe there are unpleasant feelings that arise, pleasant feelings. You are not overjoyed by pleasant feelings, and you are not kind of distracted by unpleasant feelings either. Okay, they are there, but you do not take anything personally, because your mind is a balanced mind. So that's the seventh way. When you practice when you develop the seventh enlightenment factors, so your defilements are going to be suppressed, put down. So those are the seven ways of dealing with defilement. So if you do that, so Buddha says, then you can come to a position where you are not being born again, because you are an arahant. If someone follows these seven methods, so you can be arahant. That's an assurance. So how you have to begin? So you have to know two things: what wise attention is and what unwise attention is. When you have wise attention, when you have the knowledge of wise attention and unwise attention, so you don't attend to things that are not fit for attention, but you attend for things that are fit for attention. So you start that way, and you deal with all the defilements. So if anything that arises in your mind, any defilement can be treated by using any of those seven methods. So go through it again and again, see whether you remember the ways, and go to the sutra and try to read and listen to other Dhamma sermons that are talking about these, sabbasavas, the all distractions, defilements, and just live a life applying these methods as defilements occur in your life. So that's the sutta for tonight. So I just realized, so we are really exceeding time. I'm sorry for that, but I hope so everyone with a sympathized mind, you joined in this ceremony, Dhamma sermon, in order to transfer merits to Hashini Mahatma's beloved mother, Bandara Manike, who passed away a month ago. So as I mentioned at the beginning, this is the only way we can connect to our departed relatives. There is no other ways. We cannot see them. We can't, have any physical contact. This is the only way. So the mind to mind. So you perform something good, to perform something wholesome, and generate a positive energy in your life, which we call meritorious power, and then transfer that to your departed relatives. So Ashini Mahatmya, Sanjiva Mahatma, Ravindu, and the family join from Sri Lanka, Hashini Mahatmya's sister, and all other grandkids and relatives, friends. So everyone who joined today, you accumulated a great deal of merits by listening to this Dhamma sermon. So that's the purpose of this ceremony. Hashini Mahatma invited you all, because that's the best dana, like giving opportunity to others to listen to Dharma. So by performing this, we all acquired a great deal of merit. So now we are going to transfer it to Hashini Mahatma's beloved mother, Pandara Manik, and all other, Attamma is also there, I saw in your note. So all departed relatives in your, family, and even the departed relatives of people who joined today. So keep everyone in your mind. So wish them well, happiness. May you be deeply well and happy wherever you are. And may you attain supreme bliss of Nibbana in no time. So we transfer merits to, every departed relatives. May you all attain Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. You can transfer the stanza, you can recite the stanza to transfer merits. Idam me nyati nang hotu sukhita huntu nyatayo. Idam me nyati nang hotu sukhita huntu nyatayo. Idam me nyati nang hotu sukhita huntu nyatayo. May all the deities who protect us, so may they rejoice in the merits that we transfer to them as well. So may they protect us, may they wish us good health and prosperity, and even the deities, may all of them attain supreme bliss of Nibbana. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Loka Sasanang. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Desanang. Akasattha ca Bhummattha Devanaga Mahittika Punyantang Anumoditva Chiran Rakkantu Tvang Sada.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
May all of you be well and happy as well. So by the power of the merits you just did, may you be, free from all suffering, calamity, problem, disaster. May always good thing happen to you. May you also attain supreme bliss of Nibbana in no time. Abhivadana silis nichang vaddhapachayino chattaro dhamma vaddanti ayuvanno sukhang balang ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjatu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
So that's the end from our side. So now it's time for Hashini Mahatmya to wind up the way you wish.
Yeah, thank you, Thiruvan Saranai. We are very grateful that you actually delivered an invaluable Dhamma deshana today, and we are so glad that we recorded it as well, so we can actually revisit, listen to that again. And it's not just me who's talking to you all the time. Actually, every single time when my mom was not feeling well, I used to call you, and you, although we couldn't really visit the temple and do puja in person, you always, every single time when I said something, you actually went ahead and performed the puja and passed the merits, and we are so grateful about that. And although you didn't actually have the opportunity to meet my mom, she was here, and Connecticut Buddhist Vihara, Boston Buddhist Vihara, and New York Buddhist Vihara, all the monks actually knew, most of the monks actually knew her. And although she didn't really see you, we have actually spoken about you with her every single time when a blessing, when a merits were passed to her for her healing. I always talked about you. So thank you very much, Hamadurani. We are very grateful for your attendance today. And we are very fortunate that you are Ravindu's Dhamma school teacher as well. Thank you very much. And Thiruvan Saranai. Thiruvan Saranai for everyone who actually attended the ceremony today. Thank you. And I'm going to end the meeting.